Dale's talk is great. He's vivacious, he's active, he's energetic, he's engaging.
I love the energy. It wasn't forced, it was authentic, real. That's what he's like when he's not on stage.
He's a firecracker.
Absolutely amazing.
Really great to see somebody that's really involved in their company but has that energy and enthusiasm and will actually show you that you can have fun at work.
It's definitely opened up my eyes a little bit more on what I need to do and what our company needs to do in order to progress forward.
High energy, very engaging. Recommend Dale anytime, any place if you want to hear what's the human element in a story of business.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak. We will roll straight into the presentation so I can give you a little background about who I am. And I guess the comment about I learned a lot in my teens. I hadn't seen that until I read it earlier. And I guess where that came from is I love telling stories. I think as a leader and as a marketer and as an employee engagement consultant, I believe that we're always telling stories. So I tell a lot of stories from my time living in the Maritimes, and I guess I did learn a lot from my teens and having some incredibly interesting jobs, like working in a milk shed from 12 at night until 8 in the morning. Tell that to some people that work in a contact center. It doesn't look so hard when I look through that lens. Or asphalting driveways when I was 14. 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. But I bought my first car. Fortunately, I ruined my first car 2 weeks later because I didn't know you had to put oil in it. I was a dumbass then. I'm still a dumbass when it comes to vehicle care. Okay, so I come from a company called Bridge. We're based in London, in the UK. And one of the reasons why I am here is I'm really interested in the Maritimes as a gateway for us as a business into North America. For us, it's great. It's a great positioning piece. But also, as a Maritimer and living in London for 20 years, you kind of want to come home more. And it really, it's just such an incredible, I think, incredible environment when I come here to the Maritimes. The people are so authentic and so genuine and just kind. And I think sometimes when you're in the underground in London, I am the world's biggest Canadian in London. People go into the underground and they're always saying, oh, no one ever smiles in the underground. Well, look at your own face. You're walking down those stairs to get into the underground like this, no one ever smiles. Well, if that's the way you're going to project yourself to the world, well, then nobody is going to smile back at you. Because all kinds of people smile at me in the underground, mostly because they're scared, because I'm smiling at them. Hi, I'm Canadian. So, as a company with Bridge, this is our new logo, which we've just rebranded, and a little slight story that I'll tell you about the logo is it defines us as a business. The yellow is our hub, and that is our culture. And it's yellow because it's got energy, and it's happy, and it's rounded. And from that rounded culture emanates two other parts of our business. The two blue lines represents the strategic approach that we do to clients, that we work with clients on, because we all need strategy. That's not my area of the business. It's in Bridge, but it's that area of the business when we're working with clients. And the red arrow represents our creativity, and it's outward facing, and it's going forward in emotion. And that's what a logo should be. It should be a representation of who your brand is. It's not just something that you put together. It too has a story. So what I want to do is, we've been spending a lot of time, I think, sitting in our same seats. You need a little stretch. Can't really stretch in these jeans. Definitely not yoga pants. Okay, so what I want you to do for me, I'm going to put on a song, and I want you to do this for me. I know some of us are going to go, ugh, but that's how we feel about change. And we've talked a lot about change today. And sometimes change is immediate, but there's a benefit to it. And I've been sitting at the back of the room, and I've been watching everybody, and I've been watching some of the slumps go a little bit forward. Because you've been sitting in the same seat, in the same perspective, looking at the same stage. So what I want you to do is, everybody on this side, when I'm going to play a song, I want you to find just another seat over there. But try to sit next to somebody you haven't sat with, and everybody over there kind of shuffle that way. The people in the back 4 table, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are closed now. There's nothing there. So you're going to move forward and try to create at least groups of 6 at the table. I don't want people sitting alone. In this last session, let's come together as one team, one culture, and learn together. So, Maestro, can I have some music? Talking to each other, people that they hadn't seen before. But show of hands, honestly, when I first said change seats, honestly, who had at least a little bit of a... Good. Thank you for your honesty. Yeah, because we're going to talk about 2 subjects today, and one is around change and transformation, and what those means to the human mind, and our employees, but not only our employees, we're employees of somebody else. We're all employees of somebody. We're all customers of somebody. So who is Bridge? We're employee engagement and culture specialists. So we're a boutique agency that looks at human behavior within the organizational culture. And what we do is we link those values to the brand. So this was something that I sketched up on a napkin when I set up Bridge 13 years ago. I began to look at what is brand, one of my passions. We have relationships with brands. You all love a brand. You hate a brand. You argue with brands. Who here has said, I will never use that brand? Because they let you down. Who here said, I love that brand, I want to tell you all about it. You got to buy this brand. I mean, Apple. Who here loves Apple? Oh, they're falling out of favor. If I had said that 2 years ago, pretty much everybody went up. But then, that's what it is, to be a brand. You're exposed as a brand, but you have a personality as a brand. And we need to utilize that personality because it projects outwardly to our customers every single day. And in that projection of a brand going outward to our customers, it comes with a promise, and it's generally comes with values. Now, we write values in different ways, but it's what makes brands human. And as then the customer, and any of us, engage with that brand messaging, website, marketing, promo, word of mouth, whatever it is that engages us or comes to us with those brands, it's then how do we feel about them, and do we choose them? And remember, when we're talking about all of this stuff, it just sits in our brain. This little thing makes all of those decisions, from relationship to purchasing power, it all sits in here. And once the customer, and whoever that customer is, then chooses to engage with the organization, it engages with people. So it goes from virtual promise through to a human. Now, those customers aren't just customers that buy you. Those customers are your employees as well. Because if you're going to be doing talent management or getting the right people to buy into your organization, your brand should engage your employees so you get the best employees. But then when we engage, whether that be a customer who purchased or an employee who comes into the organization, they enter the live environment, which I call living brands. And when you match the living brands with the virtual brand, that's where you get customer service excellence. Because you're living up to your promise. Now, you didn't always have to say exactly what that promise is. I make it up for myself. But I make it up sometimes from the color of your logo, from the way it expresses itself, from the adverts that you put out there, from other employees. Anybody look at Glassdoor? When people, your employees can now rate you and say, love them, hate them. That's all part of your brand messaging now. But when our customers engage, and again, I always say, we're all customers, whether it be internal or external, with that live population, it's how does that live population represent the brand? So here are our brand values, and we're going to talk about these today. Not our brand values, but values. Because I see time and time again, organizations putting these values up or out there, but not engaging with them, either either living them or even explaining them to the people who are being asked to live them every day. I was sitting at the back of the room, and it reminded me of something when somebody was saying about storytelling. About 2 or 3 years ago, I went to a very senior meeting with a potential client. It was a financial institution. They had just rebranded. They had 5 new values. And as I went down to the boardroom to meet them, they had them etched in glass. I mean, this must have cost a fair amount of money to etch these 5 power words. And as I walked out, I wrote them in my notebooks. I was going to use them in my meeting. And I was the head of HR, head of training, the whole, pretty much half the C-suite was sitting in this room. And I said, okay, who can name all 5 of your values? Nobody could. But yet, they probably spent £30,000 etching them in glass. They might have spent £30,000 engaging their employees to them, not making them pretty symbols of who we are. Because values are the most powerful thing in the human mind and the human heart, because they're the things that drive us every single day. And that's why I'm a proud Maritimer. You know, I truly am. I left the Maritime thing and I ain't going back there. I live in Albert Mines. Couldn't get that backpack on me fast enough to get out of the Maritimes. And as I get older, all the stuff I said as a teen and probably in my 20s, Mom, you don't understand. I've now turned into her. All the great gifts that she gave me growing up is the things that I value in myself now. Being kind to people, being open and honest. You know, just all the things that I once didn't either notice or rejected is now the things that I cherish most. But they're not mine. They were gifts given to me. And that's what values should be within an organization. So when I look at the bridge value, they're not just words. Inspiring collaborative energy. I'm just going to walk through these not to sell bridge, but to tell you how I see these values to us as a company. Because collaborative energy is a challenge for many organizations. Because if we get that wrong, it means let's sit around a meeting and keep talking about it and never make a decision. It doesn't mean we're all equal. It means our opinions are all valid. But sometimes, not everybody's going to win. But every opinion is valid. It's called the big brain effect. If I add your table into the discussion, I have all of your knowledge. I just got smarter. And if I'm the business, I just got 4 times smarter. So collaborative energy is not just about everybody has a say and we all have to then talk about it. It's about everybody's opinion is important, their voice is heard, and then it's up to a great leader to distill all that information and feed it back into a solution. But it has to be done with energy, because great ideas come when we get together around a table and have some fun doing it, and really get challenged by it and not beaten by it. When I look at sharing knowledge openly, that's why I'm here today, that's why we write, we have a giving back program where we will give free training. I just think when you know something, share it. You know, sometimes we gotta make money, got it. Gotta run a bit without money, you don't run a business. But there's also the whole part of stuff that you know that you should share openly. It's just what it's about being a good human. And if you have something that to give it. And that's sometimes just your time, your values, your abilities. Keeping it real and fun. Why do we have to be so stuffy? Seriously. You know, I used to have to wear a suit all the time. I managed, I think about maybe 20 years ago, to finally shed the tie. Ooh, I thought I was groundbreaking then. I was the guy in the office that doesn't wear a tie. I still got them. I even dry cleaned them all once. They're still in the plastic. And I have suits. Most of them I might have outgrown. But I have suits, and I will wear them when it's appropriate. And I have 2 upstairs. It wasn't until this morning I decided, why am I wearing a suit? This is who I am. It's about authenticity, and it's about being real and fun, and allowing that energy to exist in our companies. Because it's about being more real. I'm glad some of those days are gone, where we had to pretend so much to be somebody, when that rigidness doesn't allow just us to be in flow. Because when we're in flow, we give great experiences to other people. Because we're more open and we're able to see and hear at a different level. Pushing creative boundaries, to me, same. We've got to keep challenging ourselves to try new stuff. When I talk about innovation, I just want everybody to look around this room, at any point in this room that you want, anything in this room. From this clicker to that glass, to a pen, to the carpet, everything began in another human being's brain. nothing that you have didn't start with an idea. And if we stop challenging and creating ideas, we'll just be the same. And that's where that leads on to celebrating uniqueness always. And I think it's a value that I think all organizations should celebrate more. When you look, everybody just take a moment, look at your fingerprint. Just look at your finger. How many people are on this planet and there are no two fingerprints the same? That's mind-blowing to me, because there's not enough detail in that to make that unique. But everybody has something to give. And we should celebrate our uniquenesses. Diversity is one thing that we speak a lot in organizations, but uniqueness to me it goes beyond that. Because uniqueness is everybody has something to give. Our jobs as leaders and managers and companies and just better humans is to channel into that and allow people to celebrate their uniqueness and bring something to the party. So those are the bridge values, and that just helps define the bridge story for me. But now all of you working for companies will have some values. It's getting on your website and finding them and creating your own story. It's building them into our induction program, so it's not about here's your job and here's your tasks. Yes, you have to do that. But here's who we are as a business. And people should be excited by the opportunity to work for a company that embraces them as individuals. I was doing some work for a major automotive company, and their induction program is 6 weeks long for a contact center. 6 weeks. But they kept them in a classroom the whole time. I met with Rogers and I was chatting to Jess and how they get them on the floor really quickly into the live environment. Could you imagine 6 weeks sitting in a classroom and not one thing about the brand? And their drop-off rate was 65% completion. And I interviewed some of those to understand. Most of it was just, oh my God, if that's how boring the job is, I'm never going to work there. And so we have to think about how do we invigorate people into the culture of the organization. The task and stuff, yes, we've got to give them the tools to do the job, but we've got to give them the attitude to want to do the jobs and be part of something great. So very quickly, this is our connecting points that we would use with a client, but the connecting points you can look at your own organization through this. So the brand is a personality, and it comes with a promise. That promise sits inside the brand, and that's what drives customers to it and employees to it, because it has a promise that exists in that. Then, once we define that, we then engage our employees to that promise. Because this whole idea of employee engagement, it's in the word engagement. You've got to engage them to something. And most people are not engaged to the tasks of their job. When you look at all the tasks that you do every day, are you engaged to those? No, you're not engaged to all the tasks, so you've got to be engaged to something greater. And then once you work in that population, and we could spend maybe sometimes 6 months or a year working in that population, the culture or the community starts to become self-sustainable. They start looking after themselves as a community. The support that sits in that is different because we're all in it together and we've created ways of working. And some of those ways of working is, it's okay not to be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way. But if we all define that as part of who we are as a business, then all of a sudden, the coaching talks that you would be having starts to open up a little bit more because you've created parameters around what it's like to work here. And we look after each other and we protect each other. But that's the culture that needs things to continuously feed. One of our big clients in Palm Beach, I was so impressed when we got to that part of a year-long project with them. They started their own culture committee. So this is a 5-star hotel, 600 staff, and they started their own culture committee. And when they started that, it started a little slow, and then people were begging to get on this committee. But they started their own bowling club, because it's a 5-star property on the beach. One girl, she's a yoga expert, she started morning yoga for the staff. They started their own babysitting club, called Date Night. So if you wanted a babysitter, you just go on and you put it forward to the committee, and there was somebody always doing it. So one of the people in the hotel would babysit for you, so you could go and have a date night. You got a trusted babysitter free of charge, and it's just a nice thing to do. So all of these things started coming out of the engaged community that we didn't do any of that. They started looking after themselves and started a community that was self-supportive, but actually real. And then when you build that, and you, as an organization, you keep that alive, you create a different level of loyalty. That loyalty sits at a strong commitment, not only to the community, but to also the environment in which the community sits in. But when you look at cultures, all cultures behave in the same organic way. From a church group, to Boy Scouts, to a company culture, there's an organic state that exists that allows a culture, our community, to exist. It needs to have a shared value system, a common agreed way of working, a set of principles it lives by, a credo, or whatever you want to call it, but it needs to have certain things in order to exist. It's a living organism. It's a multitude of people that create that one organism. So whenever you look at any company culture, book club to swimming club, the collective feeds off each other because there's a level of similarity, because there's an agreed way of being a part of that. And that's when you get to a great customer experience, in my opinion. You have to have a truly healthy culture and a healthy community that then naturally has the desire to share that energy with our customers. Or sometimes you're kind of beating your way through it. But when you get a community that believes in the company and believes that we are great, they then want to share that with others. Who here likes to cook? Who's a great cook? You like to cook? Okay. How do you like to cook for yourself or for other people?
Others.
Generally others? Yeah? And would that be in agreement with people who like to cook? Yeah. You know, cooking for ourselves, you love to cook. Cooking for yourself is not You probably don't often if you're by yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because cooking is part of the brain that people who have passions for cooking, they often have passions for community. Cooking is about sharing, not about eating. Yeah. I mean, truly cook. You eat to survive, but you cook to share. And there's a very difference about passion, about the things we love. And if we love our companies and love our community, then the customer experience becomes more natural because it's self-protective. So we talk a lot about change, transformation, reinvention, and I love to share all these words. And I've seen a lot of words come and go over my 20-odd years in working in employee engagement and culture and brand. And change is an interesting one, because people don't like the word change. Would you agree with that? You struggle, and we've sort of got away from that. We're going to have a change program. When you talk about it, have you ever lost your direction in life? Anybody here? You lost your way once in a while? Who here has been on the perfect path? Got it right every single time. Show of hands. Yeah, we've all lost our way. Agreed? Yeah. Some days we lose our way in the morning. And other days we just find ourselves in a dip. And we kind of go, oh, you didn't change to get in that dip. You transformed slowly into that dip. We don't wake up in the morning and go, I put some weight on. It took some time to put this weight on. And it will take some time to take the weight off, if I so choose. Because we don't wake up in the morning going, I've gained 20 pounds. But sometimes we wake up in the morning going, where did that come from? Didn't see it coming. What is the difference then between change and transformation? To me, transformation is a much more powerful word to use. Because change, for me, when I work with people, it indicates you're doing something wrong, and it's quite immediate. And that scares me. Transformation, to me, when I talk about it with clients, it's about going to the core and what's best that I'm going to keep, and then begin to layer on. And it's a little bit softer for me. Because I don't want people to say I'm doing something wrong, because I'll fight back. Because when you say change, I don't think very many people do things wrong intentionally. Would you agree? They don't set out to go, today I'm just going to do everything wrong and piss everybody off that I can. Often when we make mistakes, It's simply because we haven't figured it out. We're going through the transformation to get there, but we're not getting it right. So when I say you have to change, it can feel quite heavy. Because with change and transformation, but less feeling that way, but with change comes risk. That's why people don't like change. You don't like change because there's risk attached to it. There are plenty of people globally that are miserable, but they're not going to change. I will stay miserable, unhappy, not great at my job, not taking risks, because that's safe. So when you think about it, all of a sudden that's where I got to, and you're saying you've got to change, that's a lot. So think about the language we use when we're talking about employee engagement. Because to say to a population you have to change often sends shivers through them for two reasons. One, it sounds immediate, and I'm not ready yet. And two, it indicates that I'm not doing something right, and I don't feel that that's appropriate. So when we talk about transformation, it's what does that mean, and how does it make people feel? Because if you need to find the definition between the two, that's the way I see them. Change is scary for many people, and I interviewed several people to figure that out. I wanted to figure out why it was so scary, and it just kept coming back to the same point. It's immediate, and I'm scared of it, because it's risk. So it makes people feel a certain way, and in that feeling, they behave in a certain way. And they're behaving in a way that is often contradicting the way you want them to behave, which is open-minded. I have seen very few people go, yeah, great, we're going into a change program. Whoa! It's fear. But however, transformation is the way. So when my environment controls me, that's what it feels like. It's controlling me. I feel powerless. And when I feel powerless, I fight. However, when I engage with my environment, I feel powerful. And that was a mantra that I learned many, many years ago, and I still do it to this day. I stop sometimes when I'm feeling agitated, when I'm going into a meeting. It's the mantra that I just say to myself, when my environment is controlling me inward, I feel powerless. When I control my environment, or engage in my environment, I feel powerful. Because I am the center of my own universe, as every single one of you are. It's how does that universe move around us? It doesn't make us selfish, it makes us protective. It's in our DNA to do that. And all of us are human. All of us have a life journey that we're passing through, and we're always transforming. The only constant thing in life is change. That's the one thing you can count on. Things are moving forward, and they're always changing. And so when we think about our own life story, yeah, we all have a past, a present, and future. And I think that's the best starting point to create a community, because we're all equal in that. None of you can disagree that you have a past, and a present, and a future. And the timeline that exists in that is always in play. And how much time do we spend in a change program or in our lives saying, I wish I had done that? Well, you can't. You can learn from it, but the amount of time that we spend looking backwards saying, I wish I had done that different. So learn and move forward, because moving forward is transformation. I don't want to take away my core. I wish, I could say, I wish I could take away my mistakes. Do I was actually having dinner at McDonald's of all places. Yeah, fine cuisine in London, by the way, with a very good friend of mine, and we were having this conversation about where we currently were in life. When I left the Maritimes at points in my life when I was at the low, I would have changed everything. I wish I could go back and change things. If you can get to a state and say, you know what, it just defines me who I am. I am happy now, so therefore all of that was needed. I needed to make mistakes in order to be happy now. Take one 15-minute episode out of your life and extract it. You wouldn't be here today. So we have to begin to look at organizations through that same human element. Failure is required, but if your organization is in a good space, or a human is in a good space, then we have to look at how we can create continuous improvement, but always be looking to the future state while utilizing the past state as learning. So recently I did something called the human element, and I'm in the throes of writing a book, and we're going to do a series of mini documentaries on bits I pulled out of it. I want to do a trial on a human transformation. So what would it be like to transform in 30 days? So I use myself as the guinea pig, in a good way, because I lost a bit of weight. But however, I put some on after that. But that's important to recognize, because it was a human piece of research. So in 30 days, I went on the Whole30 diet, which is no wheat, no dairy, no sugar, no alcohol, and no legumes. But you can eat all fresh food. You just have to be very careful of what no sugars, so you have to cook things yourself, and no dairy, so you can use coconut milk. But I worked with a mindset coach, a personal trainer, a yoga instructor, and I even went to 7 a.m. yoga. Whoa. But interestingly enough, I've just come back 4 months later from a mindfulness yoga and meditation retreat. Never would have done that before. But I found elements in that bit of work that I loved because it made me feel healthy and good. And those 30 days I tracked every single day. I recorded how I was feeling. But how does that parallel to an organization changing? Because I believe that businesses are driven by humans, so therefore they behave like humans. To me, an organization, a culture, behaves like a human. It has the exact same challenges, it's just multiplied. You know, you have your good days, your bad days, your detoxing days, your craving days. And what interesting was, it came down to a goo pudding. Do we have goo puddings here? A posh little pudding that you buy, you pay way too much for, but it's good. Chocolate pudding. And it was about day 8, and there was one in my fridge, and I remember taking it out and going, ooh, because, well, nobody was filming me at that time. Nobody was in the house, except my dog Buster, and he can't eat chocolate, so that's good. But I stood there for a while, and I was going, oh, yeah, no, yes, no, yes, no. Until I finally had to say to myself, just shut up. Just either eat it and shut up, or don't eat it and shut up. But either way, shut up. And so I threw it in the bin. Because I had the power to make that choice. Because if I hadn't eaten it, then I would have to go into the office the next day or say on camera, either lie, which is easy. You could just say, oh, I didn't know, never ate it. But I wouldn't feel good about that. Because one of my personal values is truth. So I wouldn't feel good about it. So, but I actually, by throwing it out, I felt empowered that I was controlling the 30-day project, not it controlling me. And that is the way we need to get employee engagement, is that we're all participants at whatever level. Okay, so what I want you to do is, at your tables, I want you to consider these 2 questions. So, you can actually, what I'll get you to do is, you decide at your table how you want to do this. Some of you can answer the first question, and you can divide it up however you like. And then others, I want you to be the other question and answer it. But you can all answer it together. I just want to see you different perspective. As a human, what do you want? What do you want in life? Okay, so that's the first question. So if I was to say at this table, you could answer that. And then the next person might want to answer, as an organizational citizen, what do I want? So you working for a company, or working for a business, or being part of a team. And are those answers different or the same within your group? So as a human, what do I want? And just go with the question. And as an employee, and I think organizational citizens, that's what we are. We're citizens of the business. We own that. What do I want? Okay, I'll just give you 2 or 3 minutes to discuss it at your table. And I'll kind of come around and... So has anybody defined any difference between those 2 questions? Pretty much the same? Yeah. And we often look at work-life balance. That's what we were taught for a long time. Leave it at the door. It doesn't work that way. We're humans. If we're engaged, you don't leave it at the door. It's about creating a better work-work balance, is what we need to start focusing on. This work-work balance enables us to create an environment where people still are able to be human and deliver that human experience. And this came out of the research of what people wanted in that community. They wanted to be free to fail. Because in that culture, freedom to fail allows you to be challenged to succeed. They wanted to have their voice heard. And that's what I want as a human, and that's what I want as an organizational citizen. To work to a higher purpose, not just the tasks, but to be part of something greater. And I personally believe there's no greater, higher purpose than to serve others. I truly believe that. To serve others, whether it be a colleague or a customer, is a great higher purpose, because if you have the ability to serve others and you're able to do it, then that should be a higher purpose that all contact center employees, all employees anywhere, should have as part of their portfolio, and just to get better at stuff. You know, I should go to work to get better at stuff, and not just go to do the thing that I do every day, but to have some kind of career path, or at least some learning path that enables me to develop as a person. When I look at my backstory, like every brand story, your company has a story, you have a story, you know, it's about getting back down to that core of what makes us great as a business, or as a team, or as a person, and in that core, transformation begins. Beginning to layer on top of that, so that they're able to grow from the best, and not feel that they have to change from the worst. I put this slide in, and I know I need to speed up a little bit, but when I look at my own value story, and about being a maritimer, and what defines me as a person, each one of these people are named or part of my life story. And I'll just quickly pay homage to them to say who I am today. Mr. Davies was my Boy Scout leader. My single mom growing up, I remember the day that it was Father's Sunday, and I was crying, and he came to the screen door to take me to Boy Scouts, to be my father that day. And that, when I go back into the history, that defined me. He taught me leadership. He taught me what it was like to be a guide for others. When I look at Mrs. Cummings, I had some learning difficulties growing up, and I don't know about difficulties. I was challenged differently the way I learned. So she was my special teacher in grade 3, and when all the other kids were making fun, he's going to go to special class. She taught us about creative learning. I just learned differently. I didn't learn traditional reading. I was dyslexic, and I had other learning difficulties. But she taught me about being creative and being open and unique. Flyer, when I moved down to the country, he was my friend for 3 years. And his name was Flyer, he was a chicken. I had a pet chicken. Who knew? But I used to throw the little guy up in the air, and I thought chickens flew. Well, he did, to save his life. Yeah. So he taught me resilience. Well, I had some issue that in my final year where I was accused of cheating in my final year because I was overheard by another student saying the course that I got an A in was a bird course, not a flyer course. I said, oh, that was easy. The lecturer took issue with that and gave me an F. And the dean of students supported me because I worked a lot for the university at the time, and we went to the highest council to get my A back. And he taught me about standing up for other people. So all of these stories define us, and my mom hits everyone. Because she defined me as a kind person. So when you look at a human story, those stories should exist in your businesses to define who you are as a company, and those are the things that employees connect to. They connect to a real life personality, not the tasks at hand. I had a great video, and if anybody wants me to send this, it's actually on our social channel. I won't play it because of time. Goldcast is one of the video things that I sign up to, and I get them sent regularly. They're just very inspirational to listen to. This is actually on our Facebook, so I won't play it for time. But think about your company values. Okay? Go into those company values. They make great posters. Great. But they make incredible tools to connect people to. Because values are the things that define us. You know, they're not just words, they're the things that I have to live every day. And it's the things that should connect an organization together. Because the values that I have are the things that make me fight for other people, guide me through life, get me up in the morning. So when we look at all of these values, those are the values that define your beliefs and behaviors. I could talk about this for hours, and I'm not going to. But if anybody wants me to talk a little bit further about them, I'm more than happy to discuss it with you. And in our social channels, we write about it and we do videos about it. But looking at them through a different lens, we're asking people to be human in our businesses. And to be human means I have my set of values that define me, but a company is also human. It's just a larger organism of collective humans, because they all come together. I had these value cards and we were going to do an exercise, but think about these words, and I'm more than happy to share this with you as an exercise that you could do back in your business. These are 10 values that come from two of our major clients. One is a private hospital, and one is a private and a big hotel. But these were the words that they're asking their people to define them every day and live by them. And there's a story in each one of them. Because to say to somebody, be passionate, what does that mean? And it's very interesting because I talk a lot about passion and how the neuroscience of passion works. But you can sweep the floor with passion. And it doesn't mean... But if that's the part that you play in an organization, like a private hospital, one of our clients, that is as important as the surgeon. Because an organization needs structure, and this is what I'll end on, it needs structure to keep it in business. It needs departments, it needs managers, it needs finance, and it works like this. But a culture is equal. It's like this. A culture is defined at its best when there is equality. So whether you're a cleaner or a surgeon, you're equal. In a culture, you may not be equal in the hierarchical state, in a pay state, but that's because leadership is required and structure is required to keep it all together. And so respect our leaders because they're doing hard jobs every single day to keep all that together. But culture should always be defined by equality. But don't put these up on the wall and tell people to live them. Spend time getting them to understand why they're on the wall and how they live them through the eyes of the business. Because passion is an incredible gift to give any employee. To actually give them the ability to work with passion because it's something they love and it's something that works to that higher purpose. So always think about what is your way. These are my, coming together in one storyline. Go back and look at your company values. And I'm more than happy and free of charge to talk to you. Because I just think it's so important for organizations to see the value that sits in those words. And sometimes they're sentences, sometimes they're single words. But they are the one thing that should be consistent across your entire population. That's the one thing that creates consistency. So, can I play one minute video? 30-second video. Here's my team when we were doing the Living Bread Project. It brought us together because we had one thing to rally around. It was a bit of silliness in this video, but we all decided that we were all going to have a day of just exercise. So that's my team doing the human element. But with the human element, what it allowed us to do is to have one thing that we rallied around. Even as employee engagement culture specialists, it's hard to keep our culture together and focused. So creating an employee-led campaign or something that is internal for yourself, it's the thing that you can all rally around and share. We do have 2 courses, and you can grab a brochure that we want to promote a month in a couple of weeks. One is around the Living Brand Leader, which is give more definers on how you do this. And the reason I'm promoting this is because I really want to start doing more work over here, because I believe that New Brunswick is a gateway to a big population. And start seeing it that way, not only from the contact center, but to all organizations. There's a gold mine sitting here in terms of talent and also positioning. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the extra 5 minutes. Thank you, madam.
Token of our appreciation.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much. The courses that are coming up in Moncton are also, the information on those is available on our Contact ND website as well, if anyone's interested.